the 6th, 2022 meeting of the Montpelier Design Review Committee. Committee members and staff can introduce themselves.
Benjamin Cheney, member.
Meredith Crandall, staff.
Steve Everett, member.
Martha Smirsky, member.
Unless anybody has anything else to add at this point, we will let Meredith review the remote meeting procedures.
Just a quick note. Do you have the back speaker that points to the back on?
I just turned it.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks. We don't need that one on. All right. So this is really just going to be for anybody who's watching via ORCA media, because we don't have any remote attendees, either members or members of the public right now. So for anyone viewing this meeting via ORCA media, you can participate in tonight's design review committee meeting via the Zoom platform, either using the link shown here. You can type that right into your web browser and it should bring you right into the meeting, and I'll let you in. Or you can call in using this phone number. And then once you call in, it'll ask for a meeting ID. So you can use this meeting ID and you'll be able to hear everything that's going on in tonight's meeting and ask questions, speak up if you need to. If you're trying to log into the meeting and you can't seem to get in, please email me at mcrandall@montpelier-vt.org. I'll be monitoring my email throughout the meeting. I think if somebody does log in via Zoom, just know turning on your video is optional. You don't have to do that. But we do ask that you stay muted, except for, one of us will call on you to introduce yourself so we know that you're in the right meeting. And then when you get called on to talk, you can unmute then, but otherwise stay muted so that we don't have interference. In the event the public is unable to access this meeting, and I'll find that out via my email, then the meeting will need to be continued to a time and place certain. I will hand the meeting back over to the chair.
If everyone's had a chance to look at the agenda, do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
And I second it.
All in favor of the agenda, speak your name.
Ben.
Martha.
And Steve, the agenda is approved. And without any further ado, once you're ready, Sandy, we'll have you come describe your additional features on the application.
Okay.
And yeah, feel free to pull the microphone a little closer.
At this point, I'm not even sure where the application is, but I know therefore, as we were refining exactly how the boiler was fitting in with the plumbing in the building, we realized that it had to change its orientation and that it needed more height. So, and a new hot water heater would not fit in the existing roof. So I've asked to change the shape of the boiler shed, which would just be bringing the rest of the roof up. So the whole roof would be raised. And also, thank you. In doing that, we realized that the boiler, the pellet silo does not need to be on the side of the shed, but rather it could be in the back. So that is shown on the floor plans. So we've got, things are a little bit out of the order from how I had submitted them.
I can also show it on the screen.
Okay.
That would be helpful.
So there you go. So the pellet where we had gotten it permitted before was next to the existing porch. The street is off to the right of the building. The front, this is at the back of the building, so the front of the building's to the right as well. And so this just kind of shields the silo better from the street. And it also actually makes it easier to use the access doors where the boiler is going to be. So can you go to the side elevation? Yeah, see the pellet silo was blocking those access doors. We made those a little bit larger. It's kind of immaterial, not much larger. So what was previously approved was the silo kind of below the shed and only half of the roof being raised.
Sandy, what will go in that space now? Under
A car parks and some cars park in there. It's really just paved area.
Is it paved?
Yeah, it's not a designated parking space.
And you're raising the full boiler shed roof now, right? Or not?
Right, if you go back to the drawing below that in the handout. So now the whole, we had originally asked that the left side be left as is, which is about 18 inches lower. The other thing that is noticeable is we were allowed to drop the silo down. So this silo is a good 4 feet lower than we had it before, which will also help mask it.
Is there a pipe that goes underground or is it able?
It's actually about a foot. It's at the bottom of that square, which is called the udder, where sorry, if you go back down, Meredith.
Oh, here?
Yeah, at the bottom of that, it goes left into the building, enters the building, and then rises up to the boiler level. It's a vacuum tube and a pellet tube.
So it runs right across the ground basically as it comes?
Yeah, we would encase it in
Something hard.
some kind of pipe.
I thought one of the reasons that you were raising the silo was because of the water, the pump.
Yeah, and we realized that every component in the silo and the udder and the pipes, they're all watertight, waterproof, so they actually can be below. There's actually even a shut-off gate inside the silo, so that they would even further protect the, 10 tons of pellets inside from getting wet.
In a flood event.
Yeah, so, and it's not going to float away, it's bolted down, and if there are any pellets in it, it would be quite heavy. But the right where Meredith's hand is, up a little bit higher now, like even even a little bit lower than that. That's about where the flood level is right around the top of the bollards. So that it was really no problem to let the silo be below flood level. Anyways, I'm not asking to drop it, but we are asking to move it to the back, and we're asking permission to raise the rest of that roof up. Yeah.
Yeah, if you had approved a taller silo and then they came in and said they could drop it, that's not something I would send back to you guys, because clearly it would be less noticeable if it's shorter.
Right.
But we have to redo, and we give them the site plan for moving the silo to the rear. Anyway, there's different setback. And that was enough, significant enough to fit it to you guys, and raising the whole boiler shed roof. I mean, there's other stuff going on here too anyway, so it made sense.
Yeah.
And again, how much are you anticipating raising the shed roof?
18 inches. So it would have the exact same shape that it does now. It just would go up 18 inches. Originally, we were only asking to raise half of it, but
But it's still lower than
everything,
everything else.
yeah.
It's still behind the main building.
completely. Yeah.
And it doesn't go up above the main building.
Not at all. So on the right, on that drawing that's on the screen,
Mhm.
you can see the adjacent porch. The
Mhm.
porch is higher than the shed roof.
Okay.
And then that where the hand is now is the top of the mansard roof, and the bottom of the mansard roof with a significant cornice is that one. Yeah, where the hand is now.
And then there's the porch.
So it's all well below the mass of the building.
And this is this line back here is the rear sort of additions.
Yeah, what we call the low mansard roof. Yeah, it's a
Which is still
one-story building. Yeah. It's higher than the silo too.
Yeah.
Now.
Once I know what the next topic is, I'll scroll to it.
No, it's the windows, but
I
maybe
didn't
they
know.
will have some, yeah,
I
they
didn't
may
know
have
if any questions
discussion.
about other parts.
Anybody have any questions on the other portions of the silo and the shed? Okay. Next on the list is your windows.
It is, and that's the biggest request for tonight. So there are, how many windows? There's so many windows on this building.
I think you said you're replacing something like 37.
We're proposing to change out 37 of them, but those are the rectangular ones and ones in the back. I think there are more than 60 windows in the whole building.
Mhm.
And there may be closer to 70 or 80. I have an inventory of them, but my papers got spread out, so I don't have them right now. But oh well. Anyways, you can see on the elevations that the attempt is to make to only replace windows that are rectangular and in the back of the building. So the truly character defining windows that have round tops and face the road and are visible from either angle as you approach the building, they would be restored. And we have a contract already started we're in queue to get them restored
Okay.
over I think it'll be a 3-year plan, but we're already doing that. And they all have interior storms already, except for a couple on the back. But so the owner is making concentrated effort to give back to the community where they can really have an impact. The rectangular windows were able to replace pretty much in kind. We're suggesting using Ultrex for the outside, but it's a narrow profile, so it will look almost exactly like the original windows. And they were 1/1, so that's not an issue. So I'm just talking first because I think these are the most important windows on the front and the 2 public sides of the building. Those are the only ones that would be replaced
The R's on.
with an R on them. So all of the first level are segmental arches, and the upper ones are actually semicircles, semi-arched windows. Those would all be restored. At the back of the window, those are basically impossible to see from the public realm. The side over the right, but next to now you can really get a sense of how small the boiler shed is compared to the building.
Mhm.
Those back windows, you can't even see from School Street because the church blocks them. And there are, in that view, 4 of them are rectangular, 2 are angle top windows, and I have a picture of what they look like from the inside. Those 2 are angle tops right now, and we're proposing that they be exchanged out for rectangular windows.
So your packet does have a photo from the inside of one of what these
Yeah.
angle tops are. There's, let's see, 1, 2.
There are 2 there,
1,
and-
2 on the rear, and then 2 or 3 on the.
3 on that side.
Yeah.
So it's a total of 6. 6 are angle top now, but the rest are all rectangular. And the picture that you're looking for,
That's This one
is the second floor window, yeah.
that one.
And it gives you an idea of how bad the shape, the condition is of the windows.
That's from the inside, what that looks like. Yeah.
Oh, you can't even see the hole in the window. The glass has a hole this big in it. So the idea is so that most of those most of those windows have outside storms, which are already rectangular topped. They've
Mhm.
been that way for probably 40 years. And the idea would be just to take the storms off and then just fill in discreetly, following the example of the one that was always built as a rectangular. Back on can you go back to the west side, Meredith? Yep, where the porch is. So that window right there is a bathroom window, and it was always a rectangular window. Like from the inside, it's a flat dormer ceiling.
Mhm.
And it's clear, if you look carefully at the outside, that it was always a rectangular window. So we would copy that one around the back of the building and just fill in the triangle with the rectangles. Again, you can't see it from School Street. On the back is the river, and then on the east side of the building is a big tree. So you can't see them
Okay.
from anywhere.
Fill in the rectangle with what?
Wood trim to
Wood-
look like
Wood panel.
thank you, a panel. To
You could
look
even
like
leave
that.
it recessed when you replace the other window against the stops. You could even put
Yep.
a wood panel against the stops where the glass was and then insulate it on the interior.
Oh, yeah. The bathroom one that is existing has a horizontal piece of black trim that matches the two coming down. And then the triangle, the
That's
tympanum,
this one, right?
yes,
Yeah, so that's that
the
picture. that-
tympanum is
Yeah.
painted
It's
green.
not the same, you
Yeah.
can see the recess.
You can
up there.
just see the small corner of
Yeah.
the recessed panel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we're planning to,
Yeah.
so we're all on the same page there. But it's just prohibitively expensive to replace them with ingle top pieces. And those windows need to be operable. They shouldn't just be fixed. So for a lot of reasons, it made sense to try to replace them. If I could go on, if you go to the back, do you mind scrolling down, Meredith?
Yep, I'm just gonna stop share for a second so I
Yep.
can scroll a little faster. And I'll share again. Which page do you
It
want
was
me to go to?
you were on it, actually.
Oh, sorry, I thought you went to another page.
It's all right.
Let me go back.
It would give people vertigo if you scroll too quickly. So if you go down just a little to the next row of drawings, there's the back of the building, and see on the third floor, there are the 3 Rs on windows, and the far right one is a tiny door. So those windows, both the historic preservation consultant and I believe are not original to the building. We actually don't even think those dormers are original to the building. We're trying to figure out, we don't know where they came from, but you can see in this picture that they are very random. And one of them has muntins in it. It seemed like they used salvage when they made those windows. They are crazy inefficient, like just shaking.
Yeah.
One doesn't even have a storm. Basically, they have socks trying to shim them, hold them tight. And then the far right hand on the third floor is a door that is very small. It's like 2 feet by 6 foot something. And we're able to replace it with a single, it's 2 lights wide and 5 high, but we could replace it with just a single light. That seemed to be better. It's, again, we don't think it's original. None of the hardware on the door matches the rest of the hardware in the building.
Was the door meant to be an egress?
It can't be an egress because it's only 2 feet wide by, I mean, it would count as an egress window, but not an egress door.
Is there an egress from the third floor? Additional?
Well, that's why the whole sprinkler issue is in a separate department right now. Basically, the building cannot get a fire escape, so there's no way to do it. So, suffice it to say, it's not an egress door, but the idea is to improve it so it actually is airtight and can continue to be used. It's used now, as there's a little roof deck up there that's not shown that the tenant has access to.
I didn't know if, rather than do a 1/1 double hung, if you could do like a casement window, they would still allow.
Oh, it's actually a door with
Oh, okay.
hinges and doorknob.
Yeah.
It's 2 feet wide and 6 foot
Now
something
you
tall.
you're going to replace that with a window,
No, replace it with another door.
with another.
We're
okay.
able to, yeah, we just got a custom door
Oh,
ordered.
okay.
So it's,
So that was the door referred to as the 37 windows plus one door.
yeah.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to figure out exactly what the size, it's a tiny, tiny door.
Does the replacement door have glass in it?
Yeah, it would be a single light door. Basically full glass,
Okay.
single light. Kind of in keeping with the rest of the windows up there, that would be 1/1s. And I'm sorry I don't have a better picture of it, but it is that hard to find. Like you can't get to it. So
Okay.
you can't see it from the ground.
Trying to see if, hold on one second.
But if you go back up, you can see the
Oh,
balcony.
yep.
And that's where the door is, but you can see how it's basically impossible to see it.
And that balcony doesn't go to the set of stairs.
No, it doesn't.
It's just a deck.
It's not an egress.
Well, that's Audra had put in when we were looking at the chimneys, since we further up.
Do you want to go to
Audra had
that?
put in a Google street view from
Flip Street.
Cliff Street. And I'm wondering if we could,
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. It's on the right there.
that's that,
That's it.
yeah. But I mean, that's the kind of view you get from Cliff Street. It's the only place I think you can see it.
Right.
Or from maybe a rooftop over here, where
Yep.
they have solar panels.
Yes.
And then it's important to zoom out because your view isn't focused on that one object.
Right.
You're looking at the whole landscape.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cityscape. So, yeah, actually the ladder is up. Do you see the ladder? That's the only
Yes.
way to get up there. So, I'm happy to answer any questions about those windows.
One of your diagrams here shows windows in the porch area. Are you anticipating changing those now?
Do you mind going back to the elevations of the building? I think they're the most useful. Anything with an R on it, we're asking for permission to replace.
So those,
Okay.
So those side porch windows?
That's what I'm talking.
Yep, those are they.
That's what I'm talking
Yep,
about.
that's on the first floor in the back of the building.
and those are ones
Yes.
that are already rectangles.
Yep.
That are just gonna be switched
They're
out with
correct.
better rectangles.
Yep.
Well, one of them looks like it is shaped.
That one has a modern exterior storm on it. And what you're seeing is the much later applied exterior storm. The window itself is rectangular. I have no
Yes.
idea why they put that exterior storm on.
Maybe they had it from a different window.
It's really bizarre, and there are no other storms that look like that on the building.
There was probably one kicking around in the basement from somewhere else and
it
they just
honestly-
used
It
whatever.
doesn't fit, it doesn't
Yep.
work, it doesn't close, it's
They
not.
just used whatever they could find at the moment.
Yeah, not functional.
I see on your window descriptions here that at the bottom it says a nailing fin, which indicates to me that it's being put in from the
Yeah, I would
exterior.
have to refer to the contractor who's doing this, but I think they're going to be ripping off the nailing fins so that they can get a full tight fit up against and then sealing because they couldn't get the fins on. They didn't
Could-
want to, they
Could
were,
be the description because they make the window without a nailing pin. So.
well, I asked if we could order it without it and I was told you just break them off.
Oh,
But,
okay.
because evidently these come only with the fin on.
Oh,
But
okay.
I was trying to avoid the glass size being reduced. It
Yep.
was very important to try to keep the glass size the same. So they're actually they're not taking out all of the jambs, but they're going right to them. And then this is a replacement unit, so it has pretty thin. So it's not changing the glass size.
Yeah, they only give you like a quarter of an inch
That's right.
in dimension because they want an eighth of an inch on all sides, depending on how square the opening is.
That's right. And you have to just hope for squareness. And we've actually measured each opening like 3 times to make sure that things will fit. But I think that I can report that accurately, that there
I'm
won't
not
be,
intending to use the nail fin.
that there's no place
Yep.
for it to go in.
Right. That just made me nervous when I saw that.
Without the fins, they basically just insert from the inside out to the
Yeah.
exterior casing.
You actually take the sash out and you screw through the jam, as far as I understand it.
Right. You take the window sash out and screw through the,
Jam, and then
Yeah.
Because the old original
Cock the-
windows would, the sash would mount up against the actual exterior casing.
yeah.
So with these, you just strip everything off on the inside and then this window as a unit goes up against that casing.
Right.
Yep.
As long as you don't have nail fins in the way.
Correct.
Sandy, this is the front of the building, correct?
The upper right hand, yes.
Yeah. And you're anticipating replacing those second floor windows?
Yep, only the rectangles on facing the street.
On the second floor.
So the bottom windows have a very shallow segmental arch, and the top windows are actually a semicircle at the top. And all of those were the owner is willing to restore.
It's really pricey to get the arched windows.
They're very expensive. And they're definitely character. I mean, it would be harder to get them. You can't get them as an insert, a replacement, with a thinner. It would just be, probably be not looking the same.
Well, they come with a fixed upper sash, so you can get them, but they're super expensive.
And it's nice to keep as many restored as you can. And this restoring will include fixing the weights, which are broken on at least 2/3 of the windows.
Well, you want to get rid of that weight because you want to insulate that space.
That's a question. But there are a lot of windows with cracks. There are a lot of windows with the interior storms aren't on or they're not fitting. So all of that's being fixed.
Chimneys?
There's one more small item first.
Chimney and roof.
So this application, the question of a possible conversion doesn't go before DRC to the apartment. This is on the.
Right.
Is this?
Yeah, the apartment doesn't.
Right, but the only thing that is this idea of adding one exhaust fan.
Oh,
Mm.
yeah.
And so I just need to bring it up, because it's in the request.
Yep.
So we're proposing adding one exhaust fan to that, east side of the building. And there's a page with it, and then I have a cut sheet. After the whole window section,
So there's, where the vent would go, I'm gonna back out a little bit.
right there.
There's
And
where the
I,
vent would
and
go.
I submitted a cut sheet as
Yeah.
well. It's just a standard orange
Black,
black vent.
that would just go right there.
It's as high as up as I could get it without getting it into the trim. It seemed to me the best compromise on the outside of the building. It could go right up against the soffit, but then it would be disturbing the brickwork, which seems to me an important defining character. So I'm suggesting dropping it down a little bit to where the hand is on the drawing.
And this
In the
is on the
photograph.
side headed north, right?
It's what we're calling the east side. It's where right below this arrow is where the meters are.
Mm.
This is a great picture, this one that I'd given earlier for the windows. It's way up there.
Yep.
Where we had originally talked about putting the condenser here on the wall.
Mhm.
And the meters, you can't see behind the bay, but it's just up there. And this is not certain, but we're trying to pave the way in case it does happen, that we don't, I'm trying not to come back multiple times, although this is my third visit.
Do you have any light left adjustment in that? So that it might be more centered in the wall.
It's really a question of where it is in the joists and
Yep.
Maybe we have to lower that ceiling in there. But I hate to, because then it will have to have another sprinkler, but we'll see. Is that's important? We definitely encourage
I
it.
trust you to do the right thing in
Yeah.
order to, is there a
As much as you
opportunity
can
to think about it?
tuck it into that band.
So try to make it go towards the bay window.
I think so.
Fair.
Any other questions on the vent?
The last item totally got me by surprise. It is extremely hard to get up to the high roof. And I went up very bravely, I thought. I thought I was going to die. And I went up and I saw that the roof is in terrible condition. And there were a whole lot of vents. And there are actually 2 pipe vents that I don't even know what they go to that are extremely old. So there are a lot of these penetrations that, from an energy retrofit point of view, are a nightmare because they let cold air down. There are avenues for water. You can't insulate your envelope. Of these, so I'm not talking about the one that's on the middle roof. I wrote lower roof. There's one that is more dominant down there. I think people from some of the ground photos.
In the rear, yeah.
In this photo, you can see the one I'm talking about. This one here is one of the that we're hoping to take down. So other 4 that are on the high roof. So the high roof is different from the other 2 roofs. They are shallow sloped and they're already covered with TPO. The high roof is crushed stone on asphalt and it goes to a separate drain. And there are these 4, and I would say of them, the top one on this sheet labeled recent propane chimney is recent. The bricks do not match, the mortar does not match. We are hoping to remove that propane hot water heater and take the propane off the building. So that chimney will very quickly become archaic. And it's not historic. It's in my mind, it's not even contributing. It's actually a negative up there. Then right below is the large rectangular chimney, which is in poor condition. It doesn't have a cap or anything. And then the other 2 that are closer to the tower, that one and the one on the bottom left, are in good condition. But our thought is to take all 4 off simply to clean up the roof and to be able to insulate it. So the only way to insulate that roof is through a hatch, which I don't show on the drawing, but it's right.
You can see it from the picture that's.
Yeah.
So you've got one right
A
there.
hatch,
That's like
And when you go in, it's really not more than like 20 inches high at the perimeter. It goes down to 8 inches in the middle. It's a pretty unpleasant space to be in. And we have to stuff it full with cellulose. It's really the best way to deal with it. And at that point, it's a real liability. I knew it as Teflon polyolefin. It's now called thermoplastic polyolefin. And it looks like that. Thank you. You're amazing.
Yes. Does that last longer than the 60 mil membranes?
Well, this one might be 60 mil. This one has, at least used to have a 70-year warranty for commercial buildings.
70?
Yeah. So it would be, it's what I usually recommend. I've done it on residential buildings. There's no warranty on residential, by the way, but it's the same product. It's the same solution. But it's a good roof, and it's more walkable than the stone on asphalt. It's a real problem. So however the roof goes, that's not part of this application to change that material. But the owner would really like to get some guidance on the chimneys because right now that roof, that attic is scheduled for installation in early October. And we've got to move on it. It's getting cold. It's coming heat. So the way I feel about it is I really looked hard walking from the library towards 138, towards the roundabout. You can only see one or two on the west side. The ones are in good condition for not more than really like 30 feet. There's a very small space inside. I don't need a diagram where you can see them. Walking the other direction, you can see I did that chart.
Yep.
And then walking in the other direction from the roundabout towards the cemetery, you can see that there's nothing visible about it moving. And it's absorbed it in the roof. So it's why, I mean, they had lasers on this back in June. So I'm just not sure why we found it out today. The good news is we found it out today before it actually went in. But I just, because I've talked to you about it being removable, didn't feel comfortable not bringing this to your attention. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm meeting with him tonight. You know, he's mentioned this. I don't need to bring it to you as an emergency that needs a decision tonight. I just wanted to notify you about it. And again, we can put off installing it and wait till the right decision is found. But the pieces are all fabricated for it to be removable. So I don't know what to do.
I mean, we have to amend that permit. That would have to be an amendment to come back for an official. Because I mean, it's in there, in the record, it's having that as a condition that it's removable and it's only up during certain months of the year.
And I know that was an important part of our discussion.
Right.
I don't feel comfortable making any decision at all today.
On that one.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel comfortable asking you to. Sounds like, I don't know when the next deadline is, but I should just submit this as a formal request for reconsideration.
That's, yeah, I mean,
Is that
it's
what the
gonna have
term
to be an amendment to the permit that has to come through the DRC, because that's not something I can.
Is that okay with the group if I
Sure.
submit that?
Yep.
Would it be a request for reconsideration?
Also take a look at it, if that
Amendment.
moves, if that slab moves seasonally, because we've had an issue with a porch that's moved seasonally, even though the last time we put sonotubes down 6.5 feet in the ground, the darn thing still moves 3/4 of an inch up and down. Don't ask me why.
I've seen porches move a foot in Vermont, in central
Well,
Vermont.
this one just moves about 3/4 of an inch up and down seasonally, even though they've been replaced the third time, 6.5 feet down, and the frost seems to like to grab it somehow and move it. So we actually have inside, because there's a doorway that it affects more than anything, and we've actually have a foam that can handle the expansion and contraction.
Right, because if they install it permanently and it just keeps shifting, it's gonna
Well,
crack.
have gaps or no gaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So if it does move, you want to have an installation that can handle that change over a season.
I missed this meeting. But I feel like there's scenarios where you can make a panel and then it has more of like an inner tube that goes around the outside of it that you can then fill with air that would then push against all sort of irregular surfaces. And if they were to move,
Inner tube.
yeah, sort of like a gasket that goes around the perimeter of a door, a rectangle that fits into an opening.
Same effect as the foam, but it gives you more shift space. 'Cause it's not just in one
Basically,
location.
if you think about the foam insulation that you put around piping.
Yeah.
It's round. And if you crush it.
Yeah.
And then release it, it comes back to its original shape.
I think
Yeah.
the problem
So-
is the hinge on the door. Sorry, it's actually hinging outside, but the hinge right now is an inch off the ground.
Hmm.
So that most
I
flex
see.
corner of the airlock is an inch off the porch floor. Why don't I just bring it back next week and I can take,
So
I
if
can't
the,
take
if the
pictures, but
hinges, the doors an inch off the floor, you could have some kind of a floating,
well, they were talking about adding another pin there.
okay.
And the consultant is worried about having additional holes in the granite.
You don't want too many holes to create a crack.
Right. And then the one that is going in happens to be uphill now, but it's, you know, a sizable distance away from where traffic is going in and out, possibly with
Yeah.
salt on their feet. Whereas this one is right where, you know, very close to where people would be walking. And he just was looking at it, he was like, no, this is not good, so. I don't know what to do, so I'll bring it back in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Everyone can think about it. Okay.
Well, and also go back to the consultant with the idea of something under there that's
Yep.
somehow, you know,
It has to
compressible.
take, has to take significant stress from the door opening and shutting. It's going to be a lot of.
Yeah.
Can I
horizontal.
create something that floats on top of a movable insulation or foam or something that can take that a little bit of movement?
Maybe a stainless steel bowl. I don't know. Okay. All right. I will go back to the drawing board on
Okay.
that, and I'll submit it by the deadline. The request for amendment. Is that right, Marion? Okay.
It's a request for an amendment to that existing permit for that.
Okay.
Is other than the other than that issue, does anybody have any questions, comments, suggestions on the rest? Otherwise, I'll go through the criteria. Excuse me. For all projects, exterior design and materials of new construction or alterations of existing buildings shall be consistent and compatible with the characteristics of the existing building or other properties in the district. The removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces that characterize an historic property shall be avoided. Character defining features, finishes, and construction techniques or examples of craftsmanship that characterize a historic building shall be preserved. Deteriorated character defining features shall be repaired rather than replaced where possible. Where the severity of deterioration requires replacement of a character defining feature, the new feature shall be replaced in kind. Any treatments that cause damage to historic materials, including but not limited to chemical or physical treatments such as sandblasting, shall not be approved. The proposal for windows and other parts of the structure are acceptable. Existing buildings shall be recognized as a physical record of their time, place, and use. Any new development shall be differentiated from the old, but shall respect and be compatible with the massing, size, scale, architectural features, detailing, and overall character of the primary historic building and nearby historic properties. Acceptable. Location and appearance of all utilities, mechanical equipment, trash storage, and fencing shall be sited to minimize adverse visual impact or adequately and appropriately screened from public view. Actually, the moving of the silo further back is an improvement. Rhythm, the visual patterns established by the alterations of solid walls and openings, windows and doors in the facade of a building shall create a rhythm. Patterns of solids and openings shall be preserved to the extent feasible, acceptable. Roof shape and equipment. Consider similarity or compatibility with roof shapes in immediate area. Conceal rooftop equipment and features on flat roofs from eye level view from adjacent public rights of way and from the ground level of any adjacent properties. Acceptable. Architectural features, including but not limited to cornices, windows, shutters, fan lights, entablature, trim, and other forms of molding or character defining detailing prevailing on the existing building should be considered in the alteration of a building. acceptable. Windows and doors on historic structures. Character defining windows and door patterns, placements, sizes, proportions, and original features such as trim, sash, and molding shall be preserved to the extent possible. When preservation is not possible, such character defining windows and doors must be rehabilitated or replaced in kind. Windows and doors that are not character defining may be replaced, but such replacements must be compatible with the historic building style, materials, and architectural features acceptable. End of criteria. All in favor of the application as proposed, speak your names.
Ben,
I say yes in terms of the boiler shed and the pellet silo and the vent, the bathroom vent. I say no on the windows. I'm okay. I say yes in terms of the chimneys, the removal of the chimneys. They were not original, so it's no problem to remove those.
With the windows,
No, the chimneys.
So you're saying no on all of the windows?
I'm saying no on the windows that are slanted, the
Okay.
windows that are
So the angle tops.
correct,
So you don't want to replace the angle top with rectangular.
correct.
Okay.
so
I
that
think
gives
there
us
is-
only two.
I think,
Well, it's 2 for everything else, so technically I could approve the other stuff, but not the replacement of the angle top windows, so you'd have the opportunity to appeal the denial of the angle top windows to the DRB. I'd have to talk to Mike about exactly how we deal with the actual permitting on that. We might have to hold up the rest of the permitting until we get that angle top window part figured out, just because otherwise it's. I don't think we can issue multiple zoning permits. I'll put it on.
is there a scenario where you can replace the window and then just just restore that piece of glass, the triangular piece of glass at the top of the window?
Rather
So
than,
small, I'm not sure how, I mean, I think what will happen is that if we can separate it, the other ones need to be done this winter and there'll just be massive holes in the other windows. I'm not sure what else we can do.
rather than put a panel in,
There's one,
would you have,
literally this large a hole in that window and cold air comes right in and out. I'm not sure.
well, no, rather when you remove the glass and put a rectangular window in, instead of putting a panel in that space, what if you got, Portland can make a insulated glass, double or a triple piece of insulated glass, instead of a plywood panel with insulation, you could take a small triangular window. They can make several of those. I've had them make those before.
Yeah.
They can do a double insulated or a triple insulated glass panel that you put in and put a stop around it. So now you have glass in that opening.
I mean, literally you're talking about a piece of glass that's this big.
Yes, I know.
I think we'll appeal it to
Okay.
DRB with all respect.
No, that's fine. I'm just throwing it out as an
It's
option.
it's a valuable option. Thank you. I appreciate you trying to help solve that problem.
So what I would do, write down vote 3-0 in favor of all items with the exception of the angle top windows.
And that's-
So what I did was I just said the vote was 3-0 in favor of all items with the exception of several angle top window replacements. And I just said a member does not approve the replacement of the several angle top windows with rectangular replacements.
Yep.
And so I can get you to.
Well, if she, yeah, no, she's not gonna sign it because she's gonna feel it. They're
She's
gonna
gonna feel it,
feel it.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, direct events, if the fence was open to the glass in the top, would it need to come back, or would you be okay with the top being replaced with glass triangle count?
I would be okay with that.
Okay. Maybe just explore events, because, I mean, appeal to the DRB, I've got to double check to see if that would go to on the same meeting as the
October 3rd.
chimneys, or if I have to wait till the one after.
Would you be willing to read to me what I would be signing? What goes along with the signature?
If you sign on this, then you're okay with not replacing the angle top windows right now.
I am.
Well, as in leave. Right,
But
that ends
can you
this,
read what
then I
that-
issue the permit for everything, but you don't
Can
get
you read what my signature line says?
It just says signature of applicant. There's nothing else on here. It just means you agree with what this says, and you're not gonna replace the angle top windows with
Even if I
rectangular.
do agree with what that says, including Martha's exception, why can't I sign that?
Because
What's your
that says you're
basic-
not gonna appeal what's been said.
How many angle top windows are there?
There
3.
are,
Six.
6.
So can't you parse out that one section?
it's pretty important that we start.
Right, this, can we talk about this tomorrow when I can talk to Audra to see how we can?
Yep. Okay, yeah,
'Cause I
I'd be
don't-
happy to sign
There's
it
actual
whenever.
physical permit software. Usually we only have people sign this if they're not appealing part of it. So if you can actually make it into the office tomorrow, I won't be in until probably noon because I have doctor's appointments in the morning.
Yep.
Then I'll have my people who can, because I haven't had this situation come up
When is
before.
the next DRB?
You can't make it to the next DRB meeting.
Sorry,
and-
when is the next DRC?
Wait, I don't have that right in front of me for the, can we just talk tomorrow?
Sure, because
Okay.
what I want to suggest is that I withdraw the angle top windows from this application. And it could be part of a next one. And then if it goes through DRB in the middle of October, but what I'm just trying to do is make it simpler for you to issue a permit for everything
Okay.
else.
Yep, if you want to withdraw that,
Just
then that's
with-
fine.
Just if you
Then-
could note that applicant withdrew the angled windows from consideration on this permit, would that work? And we can wait till tomorrow if you want to talk to Audra, but,
Well, no, because they would have to sign off on
okay.
that. If you withdraw that,
Does that make
But then you'd
sense,
have to
Steve?
come-
Does that make sense to you?
then if we still end up with the same place, and you still appeal.
But then we'll be on we have to go, we'll be late on the DRB. I'm guessing that we're not going to be able to go to DRB until October 17th regardless.
Not necessarily. I just don't have the dates in front of me right now.
Maybe I'll just wait till
Because I
tomorrow.
can't remember what the actual deadline is. But Audra, if the deadline was this past Friday, Audra was supposed to send out the public notices today and I did not see those. So it might be that this Friday is the deadline for DRB, but if you withdraw from this application, I don't know if I can send you to the DRB as an appeal from a withdrawn
You
item.
know
That's
what? I
all.
have a better
It's a
feeling about,
technical thing.
I think we should just not rush it. It's the same thing as with the airlock. Let's let it go. when
Not
it's on
rush for
speed.
those particular windows because you can do all the others.
I'd rather be able to move everything else
Okay.
forward. I think it's just calmer that way.
Yeah.
If we just agree that those angle top windows are withdrawn from this application.
So that you have to come
By
back to
not
you.
making the small piece of glass to fit in instead of a panel,
Yeah.
is that just for cost or for aesthetics or?
I can't even begin to understand what that cost would be. It would be really big. But I don't think the cost, I think it's just a complication to be trained to put through two scenarios. So in my mind, it's easier just to take them off of this application and let the known universally accepted items keep going on. I know I'm coming back in 2 weeks to say hi to you because of the airlock.
Yeah.
So they could go on the airlock application.
So here's a better idea, maybe.
And then in
If-
the meantime, I could look at that price.
If they're willing to approve it with the triangle glass top, instead of saying
Right.
that's what you'll agree to, if you want to change that, if that ends up being priced too much, then you come back with that in 2 weeks. If it works, then you don't have to come back.
I can tell you that I had probably about a 28-inch half round window that had been single pane, and we made a new frame, had a new frame made by a custom house, and Portland glass made an insulated half round window, 28 inches or half round, and it cost me $140.
So what I'm hearing is that it might be better to accept the change to putting a fixed glass panel in above those 6 windows. And that if that's not acceptable to the builder or to the owner, I could put that change in without huge
Change it.
animus,
Yes,
could put that in with the airlock. A different scenario.
Well, you wouldn't have to come, if you're okay accepting that as an approval of the window change. Because it's either that or a
If
denial.
it's
of that part.
unacceptable, right. That's why I'm thinking.
If it's
It would be
unacceptable,
cleaner
then
just to take it off this list and let it be lagged 2 or 4 weeks
if
behind
that's
the other items.
acceptable to the builder and to the owner.
Yeah.
that you can have 6 of those made up.
What I'm thinking is, why don't we just take it off completely tonight? I would feel better about that.
I understand what Cindy's saying.
It's just taking it off and
It's
then
just
letting,
cleaner to be able to go forward with everything else.
yeah.
But you would be able to go forward with everything else, because we would issue the permit
No, it won't
tomorrow.
go forward. It will go forward separately
Yeah, that's what I mean.
on its own calendar.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Is that if you take that piece out of your application, then you can go forward with everything else that's on the application.
And then I think
So
your
for now,
idea is
just
a good one.
take the 6 windows out altogether.
I'm sorry, Meredith.
Nope,
It will just say that applicant withdrew.
do the 6 angle top window replacement.
Feels like there's going to be a lot of amendments to this application.
Well, I have to come again because of the airlock. So I will be here at the next opportunity possible. It was too good to be true to think this would be the last visit.
I thought you liked coming to us.
I do like to see you folks.
Thank you, Meredith.
But I just said applicant accepts withdrawal of the 6 angle top windows from the application.
Okay.
And then I can get rid of this because we're voting 3-0 in favor with
everything
that
else.
recommendation.
All right, so now if you can sign that, we can issue that permit. And then, yeah, we need to get out of the room because we've got to gear up for the stuff meeting. You have time to do a quick review and approve August 1st minutes if you guys have had a chance to look at them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy.
Good night, everybody.
Any comments, questions, or changes to the minutes?
No, they look good to me.
Do you hear a motion to approve?
I-
Second,
I will second.
all in favor of the minutes, speak your names.
Ben.
Martha.
Steve, minutes are approved.
And I already took attendance. Next meeting,
9:19.
September 19th.
We hear a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
I second it.
All in favor of adjournment, speak your names.
Ben.
Martha.
Steve, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.